go back, you mentioned about cans and bottling. Most of your stuff, like everybody else, is canned. I think everything is canned. However, you still have some that are bottled.
Yep.
And it looks like to me, and you can tell me if this is different, it looks like the originals or some of the originals, the OG stuff are still bottled. And I love that. Is it nostalgia to keep that around? Is it customers saying, hey, you got to have it bottled still, or what keeps those bottles alive?
Yeah, it's customer demand pretty much. As our historian and archivist, I love the nostalgia aspect of things, but, we ain't got that much time for that on the sales side. So, I kind of alluded to it before, but like, you put crap, and I was 1 year old when the brewery opened, so this is secondary stuff for me, but like, in the 80s and 90s, like, you put good beer in a bottle. Bad beer came in a can, right? And it was very easy to think that way because you're 30 racks and Natty Light for $15 and stuff and so on and so forth. So those longtime fans of ours grew up on bottles, and they drank Dort from the bottle and Oktoberfest from the bottle and Conway's Irish Ale from the bottle and so on. So those guys are still around, still love our beer. So we still want to be delivering that beer for them in the package that they want it. But we also know that cans have become so much more of a commodity in the past decade or so. And so that's why obviously most craft beer in the country is in cans now, but we love our our longtime fans so much that we want to continue to deliver in that package. Now, are we slowly phasing bottles away? I mean, yeah, we're kind of doing that. There's less and less bottles every year, but we definitely keep them around.
It's great.
For those longtime fans.
Yeah, and probably not to the last, 5, 6, 7 years, the cans really came on. There was always a thing about beer and cans going to taste like aluminum and all that kind of stuff. And maybe the cans have even been upgraded over the years, but that's kind of all you get anymore. So for me, it's draft, bottles, and then cans because you're kind of stuck with them. But yeah, if I see something in a bottle, I'm a fan of it automatically.
Sure. Yeah. And it's in the end, same beer, one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
So, I always advocate my biggest reason for the cans is that you can fit more in the fridge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I carry my free case from the brewery to the car, it's just way easier when it's in cans than in the bottle.
And it's the same volume that's in the bottle.
Same volume. Yeah. But there's something elegant about the bottle. And especially when it comes to, even for our barrel-aged stuff, like we do a barrel-aged stout, barrel-aged blackout stout. There's a barrel-aged version of Christmas Ale. Those are in cans too. But there is something elegant about having a specialty beer in the bottle, for sure.
Yeah. It's presentation sometimes. It's just really cool to look at.
Yeah. Especially the bombers or the cork and cage, all that stuff.
That's exactly what I was just thinking of. Yep, those bigger bottles, yeah.
Those Belgian goose and all that stuff. So, but if we open up Tennessee, you guys are getting cans. Sorry.
Oh,
that's okay. We'll take what we can get.
Cans,
okay.
Yeah.
I've been saying for years, my friend, that I wish Great Lakes was sold here. Because every time I go up to Ohio, I'm like, I have got to load up on what I can find.
I'm not saying you never know. I'll say you never know. Yeah.
I looked the other day because you guys on your website have, kind of a find it, on beer, like where can you find your zip code in? And I knew we weren't going to find any in Tennessee, but there literally is some just across the Kentucky border. Like you don't even have to go all the way to Bowling Green. It's like, that's probably 40 minutes from here. So it's 40 minutes here. So it's doable. It's very,
right
very
there,
doable.
Guys. It's right there. Yeah.
Yeah. We find
that's like
north.
Akron, Ohio from us. It's like, yeah.
Well, I was reading where you guys are in like 14 states, and Washington D.C. now is where you can find your beer. Is that right?
Yeah, we just opened up 2 more states, 3 or 4 months ago. We opened up Massachusetts and Rhode Island. So kind of filling out a little bit of the East Coast. So you never know, guy. You never know.
Yeah.
We did NYC last year, so like opening up a new market here or there. Tennessee's it's a contiguous state. You never know.
I mean, you're so close. You're so close.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
go south a little bit. We'll come up and see you. You guys come down to us too. That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And has that been a slow growth over the last few years of expanding to other states? As far as like we don't want to overtax ourselves, but has it been kind of a slow burn into doing that kind of thing?
Yeah, so like our setup, our production facility can probably realistically handle like 150-ish. I mean, we could probably squeeze more out of it, but like we've done 150,000-ish barrels out of that facility, and it's like kind of 24/7. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Outside, like it's a little slow in the in like February, March when people are drinking less beer and all that stuff. But so we can't just go say we're going to open 4 new states or something because we don't have the capacity to do it.
Right.
And I don't know, the conversations you have with other people in the biz, but like craft beer right now is kind of stable, but not really growing or anything. So like we're kind of happy where we are. If there's a little bit of growth here and there, maybe it's kind of helping us stay at that even keel, or up a couple of percentage points, something like that. So those are, we call them levers. You can pull a lever, do that, do that. So, but we really like historically outside maybe like the late 90s, early 2000s, the Conways have been very methodical in their growth approach. And even when they opened new states in the heady times of the 2000s, it was never like, we're going to open 10 new states at one time. It was like, okay, we'll go, Pennsylvania, Detroit, actually we weren't even in Indiana until sometime relatively recently, which is kind of funny. Chicago, stuff like that. Yeah. It was never just this big, like, money grab because everything's affected. And I'm not saying, like, you can expand fast and do it well, but, that's never really how the guys rolled. It was always just like quality product first. Okay, we did that market right. Now we can think about this one and move on from there. Get good people in all of them too,
Yeah, and if you add new market, you still have to be able to sustain what you're already doing and not piss anybody off that your customer have as customers.
Yep. And in the end, you guys know from down there, it's like ultimately the local markets is king. So like, I'm sure it's probably mostly tap rooms and stuff like that down there anyways, but those who do package their beer in cans and bottles and stuff sell most of it close to home anyway. So like, even though we're in 16 states, a majority of what we produce is consumed within 50, 100 miles.
Really?
Yeah.
So,
that's amazing stuff.
It's pretty much northern Ohio. It's not far. Yeah.
So in the states that you mentioned, for people that may be listening to those states or other places, what are normally the offerings from Great Lakes that they're going to be able to find?
So pretty much anywhere in the states that we're in that goes basically the states around the Great Lakes. So Minnesota down through, obviously Wisconsin, Illinois, and so on, going over to the other side, New York, of course, PA and all that. And then East Coast. So again, I mentioned Massachusetts and Rhode Island, New York City, DC, Virginia, and all that. So that's kind of our footprint. You're going to see the classics because, Dortmunder and Evan Fitzgerald and so on. Well, actually, the further you go from Cleveland, the less Dortmunder you see, but Elliot Ness, Edmund Fitzgerald are huge further away from home. You'll see the seasonal. So Christmas ale, of course, is going to be everywhere. We'll have to talk Christmas ale in particular because that one's it's totally insane what that beer does. But Oktoberfest and Conways are huge. But the sales guys are definitely trying to make sure that like Midwest IPA and Vivacious get out there. It's tough because everyone has their own local IPA. You know what I mean? But, Midwest will be out there and it's a very consistent and, affordable, approachable IPA and all that.
That's a nice ABV on that Midwest too. I was looking at it when I poured it a minute ago. It's a 7%. It's a really nice, the 9 might be a little too much for some people, but that 7 to me is just right on par.
Yep.
Anywhere between 6 and 7 is kind of perfect.
Nice is the operative word for that beer too, by the way. Midwest. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Midwest
It's
nice.
nice.
That's what that beer is all
Everything
about.
about it.
Yeah.
Everything about it is very nice.
It's the perfect word.
Yeah.
Everything about that beer is nice. Just like us. Just like us in the Midwest.
Exactly.
So.
There you go.
When I rate this beer later, that's my comment. It's going to be nice. It's just nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Yep. It's a nice IPA. It's approachable. It's friendly. It's just like us in the Midwest.
Yes.
Yeah. So those are
Except
what,
a lot of
that's
ground.
what people are
Nice
going to
stuff.
see. Yeah.
So you sent us Christmas Ale, and it's almost, as they say, it's the season. Let's talk about it, because it's one that
I like it.
you all are.
Let's dive in. I got a whole section on
Let
this.
us dive in, because Christmas Ale is
I'm
something
ready.
that
Crack the knuckles.
Great Lakes has been selling for quite some time, right?
Yeah, so this beer is in the early 90s. So I mentioned Dortmunder and Elliot Ness are kind of the first two. We brought on a brewer in the early 90s who was more familiar with ale fermentation stuff. So that's where the pale ale and the porter came from, and the Christmas ale. So we say 92, and we wish that Pat and Dan wrote more stuff down. So we're kind of like, it's probably 92. That's when we started distributing.
Take some
Best we could tell.
It's probably 92. Yeah. And the inspiration there was really Pat. He wanted to make a beer for the holidays. He wanted to make a beer that channeled that spirit, and in particular from the Midwest perspective, so there's like Celebration from Sierra is a wonderful beer.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites, period. But they tried that, and they're like, it's very hoppy, and it doesn't feel like a Midwest holiday beer and all that. It makes sense for the West Coast. And of course there's the Anchor one. There's maybe a little bit of inspiration there. So they landed on this blend of honey, cinnamon, and ginger. The way we do it today, and the recipe has not, for any intents and purposes, changed. It's just the scale that we brewed it at, because of our different systems. Today, in 175 barrel batch, it's 20 pounds of cinnamon, and it's whole cinnamon sticks.
Yeah.
20 pounds of ginger, and it's ginger root fresh sliced, and 155-gallon drum of honey, which is 612 pounds of honey per batch. So, and some of the others, we brew some beers today. You guys have the Cran Orange Wheat, Juicy Vivacious. Just full disclosure, there's some of the real stuff in there, some real juice and all that. There's some flavor boost going on there too. But Christmas Ale remains, it's part of what makes this beer special, is that it's still, the brewers, it's a pain in the butt, basically. Yeah.
There's a lot going on there.
They steep the cinnamon and ginger in the boil, the duration of the hour boil. And it's like, if you're up in the brew house, it's basically like this giant tea strainer thing that they dunk in there. And there's a crane that it's not like someone has to monitor it the whole time. It's a lot of raw material, a little bit of extra expense that goes into that beer. But those proportions just, they nailed the balance of the spices. Part of the beauty of a lot of our beers, but especially this one, is like, you get all that cinnamon and ginger, and it's got some extra brightness to it because it's fresh stuff and all that. But it's also a really drinkable 7.5% spiced beer. So do you guys see, like, in the Nashville area, are there beers like this down there?
No,
not like that. I don't think.
No, I don't think
Right.
anybody even locally makes anything, and maybe something from outside of here, but nothing comes to mind.
So that,
about the only one I can think of on the top of my head is, I know, like, obviously Sam Adams does seasonal stuff around the holidays, but I don't know if they do anything like exactly what you're talking about there.
No, that checks out though, but it's a big Ohio thing. So
yeah.
It's craft beer, we're all chummy and stuff like that, and there are a bunch of homages out there, if you will. But none of them really seem to nail that same blend of the flavor and the drinkability that ours does. And the honey ferments out so nicely. There's a little bit less body that makes it more drinkable, and the cinnamon kind of dries it out a little bit, like a pleasant astringency to it and all. So it's a crazy beer. We just really nailed the recipe, the vibe. It's got that little train car on the label, right? And something about that little train car that channels Christmas and all that.
Right.
And, you know, in Cleveland, we've got the Christmas Story house in Cleveland. Like, I mean, we love this stuff here. So this thing just blew up, and like, you know, I'm in marketing and stuff. I know that stuff's important, especially when it's done tastefully and you're not shoving something in someone's face. This beer just blew up on its own. You can't make a beer like Christmas Ale up. So they nailed the beer. It gained a cult following. Next thing you know, it's our number one selling beer, even though it's only sold for 10 weeks of the year. And again, we're the 17th largest craft brewer in the country. So to say that Christmas Ale is our leading brand, that means there's a ridiculous amount of Christmas Ale being brewed every year. And it's purely just because people love that beer and the spirit that it brings and everything. We market it now, obviously, but like, last week on Thursday, so the beer hit the market when this is being recorded, it's, second last week of October. So the beer hit this past Monday. The Thursday before that, we did our first pour party at the brew pub.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever line up for a specialty beer release? You ever done that?
Nope.
No.
Never have.
Do you know the notion of it though? There's like
I think people do it in Chicago for like Bourbon County.
exactly, right.
That kind of thing, that special.
Exactly. And that's like, okay, so the Bourbon County variants, there's like 500 bottles, right?
Yeah.
So you line up. I get that. For our Christmas Ale first pour day, people started lining up at 6:45 a.m.
Wow.
We opened at 11. On a Thursday, that means they took the day off, and they probably took Friday off. Sit outside for 4 hours to drink a beer that will be in the grocery store on Monday.
That's great.
That shows you the power of that beer.
It's an event.
And
I love
people,
these people.
when I say line up, I literally mean at least down the street, up the street, down the street again. And we've had years where the line has almost extended back around to the brew pub because,
Wow.
yeah. So we didn't make that just happened. You know what I mean?
And thinking about that, there's probably people that you have run into and met that probably have done that for a number of years. Like it's a yearly tradition that they gather for.
Absolutely. And so we do a fun contest where, we ask people to submit, it's been different submissions throughout the years, but we ask fans to submit, something to be the first pour VIP. So they get to go behind the bar, receive the first pour of Christmas Ale and everything. So I get to give them a little tour, before the first pour and everything. So I've gotten to know those people. And when I was going to meet this year's first pour people, I walked out to outside the office and I ran into the guys from 2 years ago in line. And then I looked down at the beginning of the line and I saw the couple from the year before that.
They're invested.
Some of the people who were at the front of the line have been towards the front of the line for a number of years, and we were taking selfies and stuff in the tap room and everything. So it's really cool.
It's awesome.
So that shows you guys the power. I mean, it's an amazing beer. It's just, no matter where we go, I used to travel a little bit more pre-COVID and all that, to go to some of the other states. No matter where you go, you say Great Lakes, oh, Christmas Ale. It's like, it's great.
Yeah. But not only do you guys do that, you have the pour there in Cleveland, the first pour in Cleveland, but I saw that other cities and states do a first pour as well, right? For the Christmas Ale, like Wisconsin and New York and Chicago, and I think Pennsylvania's in there somewhere. Like, do they all do it on the same day? Is it all coordinated or? No,
those guys do it. They all get the beer. They have the beer, but for whatever makes sense for their market. So yeah, it's not like all on that first Thursday or that Thursday before, market release. It's kind of what makes sense, but it's usually, late October, early November, because people want to get it out. They want to get it on tap and all that.
Sure. Yeah, that's great.
But it's just a fun extension. It's just a fun extension of what we do, at the pub, extending out to the rest.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So, and to tell, so not only do you drink that beer, you guys have, and you have it for other beers too, but you've got recipes on your website for the Christmas ale.
Oh yeah.
Things like apple pie, chili, wing sauce.
The chili is really good.
Yeah. There's even one there, I think it was like a molded thing, like a crock pot mold where basically you create a spice drink, like a warm spice drink, and you put that beer in there and then you put some other spices and things and stuff to go along with it too. So this thing is so versatile. It's not, I mean, it's not just for drinking, but it's edible in a way too.
Yeah. And it's a malty beer, like when we're cooking, all those, like you're grilling a steak, those lines that you got in the steak, it's a browning reaction. It links up perfectly with the malt and the spices. We just, wifey and I had ramen this past Friday, Christmas ale and ramen.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Maruchan, it was like full on ramen, right? It was like, it wasn't just the seasoning packet. It was,
that's great.
The real stuff. You got the real stuff.
By the way, I love that stuff too.
I do too. To throw an egg in there,
The spices with it, I was like, yes, it works. So.
Yeah, I'm curious what do you average a season of how many Christmas ales that you drink? What's your average?
Okay, so for those of us who work at Great Lakes, we tend to not actually drink that much of it for various reasons. I have swung back to really, I have always known that it's a good beer, but this past year I've been I'm excited. I'm drinking, I'm I'm gonna have a good amount of it this year, but historically speaking, a lot of us don't really drink it that much because we deal with the mania all the time.
Yeah.
It's kind of oh my goodness. Yeah. And then, so, with the Advanced Cicerone stuff and all that, I've got the trained palate, and we, of course, plenty of other people with trained palates too. But I sit on sensory panel all the time. And I've been QCing Christmas ale since mid-August. So it's I've already been drinking this beer for 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By the time it comes around, it's
yeah, and you're not even really getting to drink it casually or leisurely, right? You're drinking it for work in that sense. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
But no, but this year I don't know if we got the little girl, in our life this year, and I think there's a little bit more of that vibe. So. Yeah. I almost brought a Christmas ale to enjoy on the pod, but I kept it Midwest. Yeah.
Well, you sent us one, and I'm looking forward to it. And we don't want to hang on to it too long because we want it to stay fresh. But I think what I'll do is, I think it's going to be 86 here tomorrow. I'd like for a nice chilly night sometime soon.
Right. Yeah. You guys are a little bit further south. Yeah. The nice weather's hanging on.
Yeah. I mean, it's really nice. We're going to set a record tomorrow at 86, and I love it. But it doesn't really lend itself to drinking Christmas ale. I mean, I will. There's no problem. It's just
but we see that too, though. Usually the couple days leading up to first pour, it was 50 and gray here, and it was yes, because that's good.
Ideal.
Yeah. You can bet when I'm up in Ohio in early December, I'll be getting myself some more Christmas ale.
Yeah. Maybe you could bring your buddy back some too, because I feel like I want to cook some. Now I want to cook with it.
There you go.
Hey, I know we're running out of time, but I want to go back to something. We mentioned a couple of these beer names throughout the podcast, but there's a reason some of these beer names are named what they are. So kind of the OG stuff. You guys have embraced the Cleveland, obviously, and Great Lakes area with the names of some of these beers. Obviously, we mentioned Elliot Ness, kind of an obvious why, right? Crime Fighter.
Yeah.
But there's a couple others, and there's a reason they're named this thing, like the Commodore Perry, Edmund Fitzgerald, and Conway's. All of these have a tie to that area. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, totally. So yeah, and that was a big thing for the Conways. Pat especially is a big time storyteller and all that. So, and he's fascinated with the history of everything. So that's where the impetus was for a lot of those early names. So Edmund Fitzgerald, many are aware it's not a fun story. Some of these are fun stories and some are not. So the Edmund Fitzgerald, not a fun story. That was, famous freighter that sunk in Lake Superior on November 10th, 1975. 29 crew members perished. Many of them were from Northeast Ohio. So why name a beer for that? The Conways are friends with the son of the first mate from the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Wow.
And when we were brewing the porter, Pat kind of imagined what it would have been like on Lake Superior on that fateful day when that storm kind of came out of nowhere, dark, all that stuff. And so he really wanted to name the beer in honor of the crew who lost their lives on that ship. So he asked for the son of the first mate's blessing. He said, I think my father would be honored if he named the beer after him and his crew. So it's pretty cool, especially because that beer has done so well for us, quality wise and everything. Commodore Perry was, the hero of the Battle of Lake Erie, in the War of 1812. So there's a lot of stuff along Lake Erie that's named Perry something. So he performed, some sort of very heroic maneuver in that battle. It's something like he sailed a ship through the British fleet and then from the other side was able to take him out. Some very bold move like that. And, it changed the tide of that war and kept it for the good guys and all that, right? So.
Absolutely.
So, at the time that beer came out, Commodore Perry, even though it was an English style IPA, at that time, it was very hop forward, very bold and hop flavor and all that. So it kind of reflected the nature of the beer there too. So the stories are charming and enchanting and all that, but they also kind of reflected the nature of the beer as well. Conway's Irish Ale is named after Pat and Dan's grandfather, who was a traffic officer in the neighborhood, all that kind of stuff. And then you've got Vivacious, which we made up. So.
Yeah.
At least you admit it.
And I would tell anybody
it's a vibe and it's delicious. So yeah.
There you go.
It's awesome. Those beers we just mentioned there with the the ties to Cleveland the Great. Look at the artwork, whether it's on the can or the bottles, and all, they all tell that story of what that beer is of what that beer's from, right? Don't they all kind of tell a little bit of a story of what it is? Yeah,
and our artists, so we work with a man named Sam Hadley. He's an illustrator. He's from Ireland. He's done some work for a couple other breweries too, I believe, but he does an amazing job with the intricacy of the detail. The bold pose that Commodore Perry's in, the lightning going on the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Mysterious figure in the back of the Elliot Ness label and all that. We've been doing some in-house stuff. Jameson Campbell, one of my teammates, has been doing some of the newer labels like the Dortmunder and Midwest and all that too, but it's kind of fun to see the different expressions of what's going on in the art too.
I think it's another example of you were talking about kind of the traditional and the modern. You guys you maintain the tradition. You can see the labels of that stuff, and that's kind of the traditional stuff. And you got the new stuff, the kind of the flashier things, but it's a nice meld of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Keeping it all in balance. So.
Yeah. It's really cool. And you can recognize, you walk into a store and, and for us, 'cause we don't see it every day, walk into a store and you can pick out a Great Lakes bottle. I can tell from 30 feet or 50 feet, I might not be able to read what the label says, but I can tell.
Yeah, definitely.
That's, you know what I mean?
Well, it's all about
that's a Great Lakes bottle. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's about that recognition. So.
It is. Yeah, really cool stuff. Have you got a couple of more minutes or you want to kind of wind this down?
I'm good. We can keep going for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a little bit more time. I'm cool. Yeah.
Okay. We don't want to keep you too long.
What do we still need to hit? You guys are the MCs.
I'll tell you what. I would love to talk about, Steve, you probably have some stuff too, but the stuff you guys do, environmentally and I'll ask you specific questions, but with the community stuff too. So you guys are environmentally conscious. You've got some solar panels up, I think on the brew house and the tap room too, maybe the brew pub?
There's some on top of the brew pub. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the River Burning Fest beer that you had to go with.
Yep.
But you guys actually, there is a Burn Fest, right? It's River Burning Fest.
Yeah, so the beer kind of preceded all that, but when we started doing, and the river caught on fire, it happened everywhere, but we got some
Yep.
notoriety for it in Cleveland.
Big historical event up there. Yep.
Indeed. Yeah. June 22nd, 1969. So we used that, obviously it was kind of a cheeky thing, for the beer, but then we used that brand for some of our philanthropic efforts, specifically for water conservation up here. Haven't been able to do the fest for a little while, COVID kind of killed it for a little bit, and it may or may not come back, but we still generally do water conservation efforts. There's a group up here called Drink Local, Drink Tap we've been doing work with. A lot of that stuff comes from the pub these days. When it comes to general sustainability stuff, we actually just won an award. Oh my goodness. I'm going to cheat.
Go
if
ahead.
I'm allowed to. And I'm going to look.
You can. There's no hurry.
Yeah, I'm going to look at our Instagram so I can give it a proper shout.
Yeah.
So they actually got the platinum level business resource champion award by the local local county recycling, some sort of group. So
Okay.
those kind of things we're still able to do. Unfortunately, with so many other things and the current state of, that's not a general commentary, but just like our industry and rising costs for everything and fallout from the past couple of years and everything, or from 2020 and 2021. We haven't been able to do as much stuff as we did in the past, but that's still a very core part of what we do at Great Lakes. Right. It's a little bit more localized right now in small scale, but knowing Pat and Dan, when they have the funds to bring it back to a bigger scale, they will definitely do that. Because they're good guys. That's it's very heartwarming for working for a couple of guys who care that much about the people and the planet on top of their business, Yeah,
and I think it even says on your website, 90% of beer is water, so it makes sense to take care of that and to give back and to recycle where you can and those kind of conservation.
Yep.
And those things. Obviously, you guys do you recycle the spent grain, which is always a huge thing, right? You can livestock and what else you may do with that.
We've got a circle of life thing going on, brew the beer, spent grain goes to the cattle. Market across the street from us buys beef from that farmer, butchers it, goes to burger patties, goes to the pub, and the cycle continues. Yeah. That's been on and off, but I'm pretty sure we're doing that again right now. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Wouldn't it be funny if you get the patties and they're like, tastes a little bit like Dortmunder grain. That's what those cows were eating.
The happy cows. Yeah.
Maybe had a little buzz when they were eating it.
Yeah. Well, it's all pre-fermentation, but extra sugars though. Extra sugars.
Yeah, but they're fat and happy they are.
Yeah. So that stuff's important for us.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And you mentioned earlier you guys have a farm around the corner too.
Yep. It's an acre of urban farmland. That was when that was founded was probably the largest urban farm in the country. It may not be anymore, but it's fairly vast, and it's got a beautiful view of the downtown Cleveland skyline too. So
nice.
Tons of produce. Don't do anything like hops or anything there, but a lot of produce that we serve in the pub.
Okay. All right. So you just grow it there and just bring it over to the pub. Very nice.
Yep.
I saw something on your social media today that was pretty cool. Steve, I don't know if you saw this. Maybe you did. It's not even out yet. It's called Interstate Tailgate. Beer that you're coming out with.
I haven't seen that.
Okay. So it's a 50 West in Great Lakes collab.
Okay.
Cincinnati and Cleveland. It comes out with 11/2 November.
Yeah, I think the big tapping party is in early November. Yeah.
So how does something like that come about? It's just, hey, we just two cities get together and hey, let's make a beer.
That was the local sales guys. I think they're friends with the peeps at 50 West. So that's how a lot of those, we've got that. We do one with Lakefront in Milwaukee. So that's an annual collab as well. That's for the Great Taste of the Midwest Beer Fest. But you guys were at Great American Beer Fest, right? Were you guys both at that? Okay.
Scott was.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Good times?
Yeah, good times. We did. Did you go? Were you there?
Oh no, I've only been the one time. Yeah, it's been a while. So.
Yeah, we did the Friday event, but we like to go a few days early, and we hit this year we hit Colorado Springs for a couple of days and hit those breweries, and then go to Denver for the big event. So we've done Fort Collins before, and we'll do different cities every year, and then hit Denver on the last day.
Cool. Very nice.
Check it out. So yeah.
Yeah.
So anything you can tell us, any not breaking news, but any exclusives you can give us for 2025? Anything coming up? Expansions?
There's nothing concrete for anything like that right now. What I can say for sure is we have we had a different hazy in the past, which was a solid brew and all that, but this Midwest IPA kind of being like the big thing for us right now, there's going to be a hazy version of that rolling out. That is, for those who are listening who are in the distribution area, there's going to be some draft of that floating around. It's actually kind of floating around right now. Like if you're in the Northeast Ohio area, you could go to like Winking Lizard Taverns, our local chain, kind of craft beer chain. They've got it on tap right now. So there's going to be a hazy version of Midwest coming out. It's the same nice approach. It's not overly heavy. It's not super turbid and stuff. It's hazy, but there's not chunks and stuff floating around there or anything like that. So.
Right.
That's coming out. I didn't send you guys this, but, I don't think I did. There's a light lager. I mentioned it earlier, I think in the podcast. It's called Cold Rush.
Okay.
That might be a big thing next year. We'll see. We're kind of feeling that one out right now.
Yeah.
So 4%, 100 calories. It's, rated higher than a 3.5 on Untappd.
Yeah. Right. I tell you, we've come across some light lagers recently. Ryan Guys had a good one, has a good one. National Brewing here locally has a good one. So there's definitely something there to those, and they are really good.
Yep. Yeah, it's playing that same sandbox as Cincy Light and all that. So those are kind of the things. But the nice thing is, when it comes to the beers and all that, I mean, we need to be coming out with new stuff, but some of the stuff we've come out with recently is it's clicking. So we're going to kind of keep rolling with that. But hazy version, just like there's the juicy version of Vivacious, right? There's the juicy version of Vivacious, hazy version of Midwest. Yeah, and the light lager, I mean, those are the big things. We're still going to be in Ohio City for the brewery for the foreseeable future. Tennessee, we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if Indiana messes up, if they just mess up a little bit, you kick them out, you come here.
That's right. We'll twist your arm. Come on down.
Yeah, Indiana, you're on the clock, baby.
It's all about contiguous states and stuff, and you guys are right there. So
we're right here.
You never know. Maybe this podcast will be what gets it done.
Hey, that would be awesome.
We're influencers. Can you imagine?
The demand just blows up even more.
Maybe you can come down for the ribbon cutting. We'll join you wherever the first
I like
Great
that.
Lakes is sold in
I like
Tennessee.
that. Yeah, that'd be good.
Hey, there was something interesting I saw. Your street that you guys are on, Market Ave, I believe it is.
Yep.
There was some controversy. There is some controversy over the past few years about closing that to traffic.
Yeah.
And I say that because apparently that's all the businesses down there kind of want that. The mayor apparently wants it. I think most people want that to be closed to traffic, but it hasn't happened yet. Is that still, do you guys hear about that a lot? Is that still kind of in the news?
Yeah. Well, we actually know we did get it. We got it closed down. So it is.
Oh, it is.
I think that was this year. So just okay. This year that ended up happening. So, but no, it's fine. I think it's good ultimately it's good for that little square right there. I don't know do you guys have outdoor recreation areas where you can just carry a beer from spot to spot or anything like that?
No,
it's probably a state by state thing, right?
Yeah, and it's certain events downtown you can do it, but not all the time.
Yeah. And that's a kind of I think a relatively new thing for Ohio. So I don't know if that's in the plans for the neighborhood, but I mentioned back earlier on, our neighborhood was the original brewing district. It's that again today. So that's kind of the hub where the highest concentration of breweries is, in the city of Cleveland. So I think the street being closed is probably good and maybe who knows, a sign towards something like that down the road.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, for the first board party that we just had, it's definitely nice to have the street closed down.
Oh, I bet.
It's
Just
awesome.
We were able to have that overflow area. It was like 60 degrees and sunny, which is perfect for like the beginnings of Christmas sale because it's cooler, but it was nice and dry out and all that.
You can be outside. Yeah. Did they put like bollards at the end of the street or something so cars could get through? How do they?
Yeah,
do they do?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
There's a big planter type thing. Yeah.
I kind of asked because we've got downtown Broadway, and I mean, we don't go down there much, but we wish that would happen down there too. And the traffic there's 8 million people down there at any moment crossing the street, and horse and buggies and all this and that.
Right. Oh,
Come
wow.
traffic
Horse
just
and
right
buggies.
on through there.
Yeah.
It's
That's
Yeah,
chaos.
I did Nashville once. It's been a while, but I gotta get back down there.
Well, if you come
Some
back,
beer,
we'll show you the good stuff. You don't go downtown. We'll
right.
take you
Totally.
take you to places the locals.
That's where I was, but yeah,
Yeah.
I
gotta do
know
that.
exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that once. So really big for the people in your area. You guys are the official brewers of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you have a beer that is specific. I won't say specific before that, but it is served at with that Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
Yeah.
Right. It's called Easy Buckets.
No, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, for a larger craft brewer like us, having partnerships like that is big. We had one with the Guardians, the baseball team, for a little while. We're doing Cavs right now. And that one, it's been a fantastic partnership. The Cavs run a really good show. It's a great franchise. They whipped their opposing team by 30 points in the opener, so I'm pretty hopeful for the season right now. And they're great partners. It's a wonderful space, the arena downtown. There are of course events that happen all year round outside of just the basketball season too. They have a really cool bar space in the arena that's got, I think, about 10 different beers on tap from us, and we're always trying to feature some new things there. And then yes, there's the collaboration beer called Easy Buckets, which we have 3 sports beers. There's a vague football beer. It's actually with Joe Thomas, the retired lineman.
I saw that, yeah.
The Rally Drum, which was the general baseball theme, and then Easy Buckets, the blonde ale. All easy drinking sessionable styles for easy to tip back while watching games and all that. So
yeah.
I think we're on year 3 of that partnership, and it's been pretty cool. The opener's tomorrow.
Yeah,
I will not. I think I'm on baby duty. Yeah. Am I on baby duty? Yeah.
Yeah, especially since this ran long, so you definitely.
Plus, I went to a lot of baseball games, so.
Yeah.
This close, guys. We were this close.
Yeah.
Watch out, Yankees. We're coming.
Well, it's I am a Yankee fan. I didn't want to bring up at the beginning of the podcast because I figured you'd leave, so I.
Oh no, you're fine. As long as you're not a Red Sox fan, I'm good.
No, oh my God, that's the bane of my existence.
I'm a Reds fan.
Yeah,
long suffering one. So.
Hey, you got our boy. You got Tito. You're good.
Yeah, got Frank Cohen, and we got the hitting coach today too. That apparently, that's all that. So
Tito's had success everywhere he's been. So
he's the man. Yeah, I think it's all Ohio World Series next year.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think the Yankees will have something to say about that.
Yeah, we'll see. No, we're finally going to take you down. I know it's only been 4 times we've only been eliminated by the Yankees 4 times in the past 7 years. So, we're going to get this one. Yeah.
I was worried about this series this past year. I was a little worried about it.
It was good. Those games could have gone a different way.
God, you guys got back in every one of them at the end of the game. You got back in every one, and I'm
hopeful. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah.
No doubt. Steve, do you have something to finish up with?
Yeah, just one last question. For people that are obviously listening to this podcast, and if they don't live in Cleveland, but they come to Cleveland, they want to go to Great Lakes, you guys do tours sometimes, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The whole campus experience is top notch. We already talked about the buildings, the charm, the mystique for all that. Pub food, again, is amazing, but the events type stuff that we do are excellent as well. So, and again, I was a tour guide for a couple of years, so I always gotta pump my fam up, but Tours are Friday nights, Saturday most of the day is Sunday, early afternoon. Hour long. I mean, you get this experience in person. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
There you go.
Couple
I love
samples,
it.
an exclusive glass. You get to see the facility, and all its charm and all that stuff. We do a bunch of, I do a number of classes. We do a bunch of, we call it Hop College. And it's a lot of pairings actually with local businesses. So like, there's a place that makes donuts with beer. So like we did the beer and donut pairing and all that stuff. So definitely if you're coming down, do more than just the pub. The pub's awesome, but there's so much other stuff you can experience down there as well.
That's
Fantastic time.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Steve and I make an annual trek to Cincinnati. We were talking about it as we were doing this podcast. We kept realizing more and more interesting stuff about your brewery and how great it is. And we're like, all right, we're going to add way back down to Cincinnati. So that's part of our plan next spring.
Nice. I like it.
Come see
Cool.
you.
Beautiful. I like it. Come on up. You guys know, hit me up if you're in Cleveland.
Don't worry.
You hit me up and
beer.
you get the behind the scenes and all that. So
Love it.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
yeah.
We'll make sure to do that.
Cool. Beautiful.
All right. Steve, you going to wind it down?
Yeah. Well, Michael, thank you, very, very much. We appreciate it. And, I think that, hopefully we'll have you back one of these days again. And we
That'd be
can
great.
have more beer with you.
Let's
Yeah,
do
we
it.
got more questions. Okay.
I know we only hit the first half tonight, right?
That's really
I think
good.
so. You got it. You got it.
I like
Awesome.
it.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. That's Michael Williams. He is with, Great Lakes Brewing in Cleveland, Ohio. And, that's going to do it for us. For Scott Turon, I'm Steve Sullivan. And this has been the Brewery Underground Podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.